Hey y'all, so today I want to cover a topic that gets brought up a lot, especially with new firearm carriers, and that is, should you have a round in the chamber when you carry? Now, the short answer to that is yes, and then people ask, well, is it safe? The answer to that is also yes. But I'm going to elaborate a little bit, try and explain some of the myths surrounding carrying around in the chamber, maybe put some people at ease, and just basically give a brief explanation of why you should carry around in the chamber. The why is pretty easy to explain. So, simply put, self-defense, citizen-involved shootings are very quick. Go watch a good. I recommend anybody that's new to carrying a firearm, go watch a bunch of compilations on the internet of citizen-involved shootings. You'll notice that they're very rarely longer than a minute. They're very short. It's pretty much over and done with. Usually, the bad guy, once they start hearing a gun go off, they decide that it's not their time to die, so they get out of there. With that being said, because they're super short, something you want to be able to do is you want to be able to put that firearm into service as quickly as possible. Again, you know what? Maybe you get, maybe someone's coming at you with a knife. Maybe someone is pushed you on the ground and is beating you up. Maybe someone, for whatever reason, you've decided, hey, I need my firearm today. It's probably going to be needed in a rapid fashion. Very rarely is the movie style Mexican standoff where you have all the time in the world to, get your gun out and get ready and all that. More often than not, you're probably going to have someone coming at you in a rapid fashion, meaning to do you harm, and you need to deploy your firearm quickly to stop that threat. Having the time to rack your gun is probably not going to be there, and also in certain instances, the ability to rack that gun and put around in the chamber may not be there. Again, you could be on the ground. You could have someone that just came up behind you, pushed you on the ground, and is about to come at you with a knife or something. Maybe you're on the ground and you have enough time to roll over and deploy your firearm, but you might not have enough time to rack that. Also, maybe someone came up and, again, these are all just hypothetical situations, but maybe you only have one hand free. Maybe you're fighting, pushing someone off of you that's trying to stab you with a knife, and you're, pushing with one hand and you're drawing your firearm with the other. Again, if you've only got one free hand in that instance, or maybe that hand has been hurt or something messed up with that, you're not going to have that time to rack that firearm where with a round in the chamber, you're pretty much ready to go. So that pretty much covers why it's a good reason to have a round in the chamber, because speed is, your best friend. Speed and the element of surprise, which you have the element of surprise when you conceal carry for the most part, are your two best friends in a self-defense shooting like that. Now I'm going to talk about why it's safe. A lot of people, some of the reasons that they don't like that round in chamber is they worry about a lot of modern firearms don't have safeties, at least not safeties in the way that they think. Now, when they say safety, they think of a manual safety, and I'm going to show here. When they say manual safety, they usually mean something like what's on this Smith & Wesson shield here, right? Usually a safety just like this, flipped up, manual, off, on, right, and it's manually operated. What they don't realize is that most modern guns like this have basically like a passive safety, we'll call it. Basically, they have it where the safety is built into the gun and you don't even notice it unless you pay attention. This gun, for instance, has a safety right here in the trigger. This little, I usually refer to this as a dingus. I'm sure there's an official technical term, but usually it's the dingus. So what this is this trigger has this bit here down on the bottom half of it, that if you try and pull the trigger like this, right? Like if you're just pushing on half of the trigger, it doesn't go off. So say for instance, your hand's resting here, right? And you think, oh no, my finger's gonna rest right here on the edge of the trigger guard and it might bump it and go off. No, will not. This trigger will not be depressed unless you have a full firing grip and you have your full finger on the trigger. Now that's not saying that something couldn't get in there and go off, but, and this is something that if you're new to firearms, I recommend, If you're worried about carrying one around in the chamber, get yourself a good quality holster. A good quality holster will completely cover the trigger guard so that the trigger guard doesn't even have the chance to have anything get stuck in it or done with it or anything weird until you have drawn the gun on purpose and have it in your hand. And when you have the gun in your hand, your number one safety on a firearm is this. You are the number one best safety on a firearm because, and again, I'm sure there's instances of gun going off accidentally, sig. But actually that's a joke, and they fixed that. But for the most part, this right here is your number one safety. If you don't put your finger on this trigger, there's absolutely no reason that this gun should go off. But a lot of modern firearms have basically a trigger style safety built in. This Glock, for instance, now this Glock has an aftermarket trigger in it, but the same little dingus right here, that if your finger's just on the very edge of the trigger and it happens to bump it, it will not go off. It will not allow it to be pulled because the dingus has not been depressed. Now, if I put my finger on it like I was firing it and then I pull, it goes off. And for all the safety Nazis, all these guns have been cleared, so we're in a safe environment. But again, most modern handguns like this have this style safety in order to be a safer gun that you don't have to worry about. Now, even older guns have this. This is a 1911. This is obviously over 100 years old for anybody that doesn't know. And it, despite not having a little dingus on the trigger, does have two safeties. Now, 1911 has this, a manual safety, which again, most guns do not have, but this is an older style design. But it has a manual safety, but it also has a passive safety right here. It's what's called a grip safety. Now this gun, right, we've cocked this gun, we have taken the safety off, right? It should fire, right? Except it doesn't. It doesn't because this grip safety has to be depressed for the gun to fire. So if I hold the gun in a normal firing grip, right, and then I pull the trigger, it goes off. But if I don't have a firing grip on this gun where this grip safety is depressed, it will not fire. Firearm safety is something they've had in mind for a long time, and they've done a lot of things over the years to make guns safe. At the end of the day, like I said, your hand, your finger, your mind, your brain is the number one safety for a gun. As long as you practice proper firearm safety, practice firearm control, practice, basically just, treating a firearm like it's always loaded. Again, obeying the four, commandments when it comes to gun safety, you should be fine. So carrying around in the chamber is not dangerous. It's not unsafe. And it really honestly it's how that most modern firearms are designed to be carried. And it really is the best way to ensure that if you need your firearm to protect yourself or your loved ones, it's ready to go and you don't have to worry about anything. But that's pretty much it. I just want to say if you enjoy this content, feel free to subscribe, like, comment. All helps me out, doesn't cost anything. Also down below, there's some of the companies that support us and they give us coupon codes. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them and have a good day.